I started this, and then after some time, see what will you do after you become flexible, fit, and everything? Being healthy. So, how long has it been since you started your journey on the path?
Consciously, as something that I choose for myself on of yoga.
You are on a path right now. Is there a particular vision and interest that you are aiming towards? Is it true Samskriti can only come through Samskrita? I seriously come through Samskrita. I heard this for the first time from my Acharya. I was like, it hit me right inside. I mean, it may sound very gross in the because I personally experienced this. Once I started to learn, though my knowledge with respect to Sanskrit is very limited, I noticed once you start conversation in Sanskrit, it feels the innate feeling is very different. True. Though my mother tongue is Kannada, the Kannada I speak is pure. Then, do you think the journey on the path of Sanskrit will take you closer towards Sanathana?
Inevitably.
Okay, can you connect the dots? Okay, what is Sanathana Dharma? Now, what about Sanathana Dharma? What do you say Sanathana Dharma is? If complete newcomer, someone, because now Kumbamela is happening and everywhere we see this word Sanathana Dharma.
Right.
Someone who's completely new.
Right. There is this definition that people give. Sanathana Dharma is not a religion, it's a way of life. It's the eternal law.
What is it?
What is eternal? If I can put it into simple words, how?
What is Dharma then? How do you?
Dharyate ki dharma. Language. Each person, I keep giving this definition.
Why are people going to Kumbamela, Shreyas? Okay, why are you going to Kumbamela?
Why am I going to Kumbamela? All right. See, majority of the people go there because everybody else solar system that Surya is at a particular position and Guru is at a particular position, and they impact the waters there, and that is not just a water body but a sangam, a confluence of water.
So the water is energized by the alignment of the sun.
In this, I know this sounds all very.
No, I believe in it. I'll be very honest.
I don't.
You don't?
I don't believe in it.
Okay. Now since Shivaratri is coming up, we consider Shiva as the Guru. Even the Hatha Yoga, the first sloka opens up Shri Adinataya Namostu Tasmai Kenopanitya Hatha Yoga Vidya. Like this it goes. It is this first sloka, Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Okay. And then I got to know the entire story of how the knowledge of yoga was passed on from Shiva to Parvati and how a fish overheard this. Up to Shivaratri, Shreyas, would you like to throw some light on that? What does it does for a individual consciousness, Jivatma? None right now.
Rakashwarasya.
The first time I ever fell in love with music was when I heard Rahu Dikshit.
Oh.
I'm not a person who listens to songs. I mean, okay. So Shreyas, thanks a lot for coming and here. My pleasure, bro. You're the first guest on Nanna Bharata series where I'll be talking to everyone who represents what Bharat is.
That's amazing. Thank you for choosing me as a part.
Namaskar, and welcome to my yoga shadow also.
Brilliant to be here.
So I'm doing this because I think we as youngsters have to do everything that we can to stand for what Bharat really stands for. And I've seen this depreciation in the human values and the way people interact with one another. That Indianness, that Bharatness that is there in people, I feel like that's, going down. And I've been doing my part with respect to teaching whatever I can. But I think, talk to people who share the same light as I am, but come from different parts of knowledge. Now you are here where I'm going to discuss with you about your journey with respect to Sanskrit and Sanathana Dharma, the upcoming Kumbamela and other things and all. I wish to interact with everyone that is there who represents Adhyatma in totality and have actually put the theoretical aspects into practice and made it a life journey, and who implement these sadhanas every single day, who live, not just preach and then practice also. I'm very happy you accepted my invitation to come here.
My pleasure to be here. I like I said, I have so many questions for you. I know you have questions for me, but I have more questions for you.
I'm really looking forward to this. I plan to take this to 1,000 episodes. I have guests who are sages, monks, who's who of the spiritual world, but I think it's up to us, the next generation, to take up everything.
Yes, I am old enough for the same practice. The younger generation is coming up. after me, my my younger brothers and sisters who are working in the similar field, and they're taking up and they're coming up, and it's I see myself as kind of in a, gathering cobwebs now.
So you're the first guest for the Bharata series. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you. Initially, to start off with, firstly, for a person who doesn't know who Uday Shreyas is, how can they get an understanding of who Uday Shreyas is or what he stands for?
Okay, sure. Namaskara. Which camera do I look into? Namaskara. My name is Uday Shreyas. I am a student of languages. I love languages, and that study and that whole exploration led me towards Sanskrit. So, and I've been studying it for a few years now, and I love teaching it. I love exploring that language. So right now, I am somebody who loves learning Sanskrit and presenting Sanskrit, and through that window, exploring the entire civilization, the dharma that is ours, the Sanathana Dharma and the Bharatiya Samskriti, through the window that is Sanskrit. That's what I do.
What about your childhood, Shreyas? How was it growing up? Did you think when you were a kid you'd end up being wherever you are right now today?
If I look back from now, it looks like the natural progression of things. But back then I had no clue. I was struggling on what to do, where to go, what to be in life. But this curiosity and penchant for languages started very young. One of the factors, the environmental factors where I was growing up, was because I was born in a border district, Chittoor, between Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So two languages, in almost all parts of the country, I think it's natural, two languages being spoken around you. And every 3 years we used to get transferred around. So again, that curiosity for dialects, for sounds, for words, this got in naturally. And somehow vasanas, karmas, I don't know what, that drew me towards languages. And in state syllabus, the syllabus that we had in schooling, we had 3 languages. So first language, second language, and third language. And I used to just love those. Of course, I was decently well at physics, mathematics, sciences, all those stuff. History never so much. Mathematics was hard. But languages I used to just love and relish and excel at.
For someone who's now, sharing a love for Sanskrit and learning, I'm pretty sure, did you experience the disconnection when you were studying in the schools, whatever schools we have these days in India?
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel disconnected in the
Languages?
No, with the schooling system that is there?
No, I mean, when I was in schooling, that disconnect did not kick in until I was preparing for competitive exams, which was after my 10th standard. I was preparing to crack exams. Before that, I used to, sit with teachers, specifically language teachers. I used to visit library all the time. I was that bookworm who would go damage library property. I'm very sorry. Just, make small scribblings on notes and then library books. And
So how long has it been since you started your journey on the path?
consciously, as something that I choose for myself, on of yoga, is 13th year.
How has this journey been?
Very fulfilling, man. Very rewarding, and it is the best investment in terms of time and energy and that pursuit that one can spend doing. I mean, there are many other things that one can learn, develop work on fitness or health or finance and many other aspects of of their own being. But settling into that clarity on.
You are on a path right now. Is there a particular vision and interest that you are aiming towards?
There is no one goal as such. The overarching principle that I try to do so that I find fulfillment in what I do, and I hope people find value in the work I do. That principle is just rub that joy of learning Sanskrit that I get off of weeping. I mentioned this before, but I get, and there is so much to relish. It's unbelievable that the rhythm of it, the richness of sounds, the layers of meaning that one can put into this language, the way the language itself is structured. I mean, I love all languages, including English, and then the sounds of communicating one idea and the different levels of vak. All of that is fascinating, but Sanskrit, it's a different league altogether, that language. So I just want to, get that spark, rub off that enthusiasm for language in as many people as I can.
They say Sanskrit is the mother of all languages.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know more about it. Why is it said so? I mean, can you please throw some light on that?
I don't know if it is the language from which all other languages came, world languages, but there is a lot, definitely, or many, if not all Indic languages find their roots in Sanskrit. World languages have a lot of commonality with Sanskrit, because what every language, any language that you take across the world, what they are trying to do is present things around you, inside you, present ideas and concepts and entities through sound. And that sound that one picks to make, to represent something, is not random. People think maybe that these associations are random. The word for the sun, why is why? Why does why mean what it means? These are some backed out questions that I worry about, right? Why does face? What does a sound have to do with what it's conveying? This connect is not arbitrary.
Yeah. Is it true Samskriti can only come through Samskrita? I seriously come through Samskrita. I heard this for the first time from my Acharya. I was like, it hit me right inside. I mean, it may sound very gross in the...
Can only come with Samskrita as an activist, and for somebody who... I'm definitely not an activist, and I don't have any world transforming missions in life. I'm not a missionary, but this is a great missionary statement that you want to build Samskriti in the world, you do prachar of Sanskrit and teach it to everybody. I am here for my own very selfish reasons of just living, getting the best out of this language, this treasure. They are definitely, again, the words themselves, Samskara, Samskriti and Sanskritam as a language. They are Samskara, its morals, values, these are all very, very feeble words to contain what the essence of what.
Because I personally experienced this, once I started to learn. So my knowledge with respect to Sanskrit is very limited. I noticed once you start conversation in Sanskrit, it feels, the innate feeling is very different. True. Though my mother tongue is Kannada, the Kannada I speak is pure then. And when you chant, Vedic chantings and all, it's like, I've even heard and read when you start to regularly chant, what all happens. For example, Rudram, I do Rudra chanting on Mondays. Vedic chanting, I personally feel, please correct me, Shreyas.
Please go.
What do you think Vedic chanting can do to a person?
Chanting, again, because unfortunately we're speaking in English, so chant, japa, patha.
Exactly.
What we are trying to do is bring about a transformation in our experience and use sound to do that, to impact our own lives and the situation around, ambience around. And sound is a great tool to do that. It can be done with many other ways. There are tools that this culture has devised where one's own experience internally and the ambience around can be transformed. There are rituals, there are patterns, there are different processes, festivals, everything that the whole civilization is crafted around this. One of the most powerful tools to bring about that transformation within oneself and to the ambience around is sound. And so many different sounds one can use to do that. The very alphabet of Sanskrit, the letters of the alphabet themselves, from A to Ksha, if you chant that in that particular sequence, all of those correspond to 52 different petals of the 7 chakras in the human body. Not doing some complex Ghanapata or Rudram or some very complex chant or stotras, any other stotras. Nothing like that. Just the alphabet. It's impacting you directly. Isn't that just stuff of goosebumps that from the very childhood that samskara is happening? So just by learning the letters that make up words, even before going into words, you're trying to impact and energize yourself from within and become a full-fledged human being. That's the objective of all of us, right? We might think that we are trying to do so many different things in the world, but the objective of all of us is to express ourselves to our fullest potential and experience the phenomena that has been presented to us to the fullest extent. And that empowerment is happening through the very basic sounds. Now, what arrangement of sounds, what do they mean, what kind of rhythm are they in?
Do you think the journey on the path of Sanskrit will take you closer towards Sanathana?
Inevitably.
Okay, can you connect the dots? Okay, what is Sanathana Dharma?
Irrespective of where you start your journey with Sanskrit, you might think, oh, I'm very secular, I'm only concerned with communication. I'll just talk to you about oh, my name is so and so, I came from here and this, I need some food, give me directions to that place. These have nothing to do with spiritual aspect of living. But once these are communicated in Sanskrit, the very way the words are coined, that word aham, tvam, tat, enough to contain all principles of spiritual expression, adhyatma. So from the adhi bhautika, which is the physical realm that we are all in, that we experience with our senses, going more profound to the sense of the nature of the self, the nature of perception, and the nature of life and beyond, it takes you on that journey. When I started my learning of Sanskrit, I started with the Bhagavad Gita, not because I wanted to learn some principles of yoga, or not because I had a great reverence for Krishna back then or anything like that, but just because I wanted to join a hobby club who was just learning another.
Now, what about Sanathana Dharma? What do you say Sanathana Dharma is? If a complete newcomer, someone, because now Kumbh Mela is happening and everywhere we see this word Sanathana Dharma.
Right.
For someone who's completely new.
Right. You know, there is this definition that people give, Sanatana Dharma is not a religion, it's a way of life. Is the dumbest definition there is, because what is not a way of life? Hell.
Completely.
Writing is a...
Completely agree. Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So defining anything can be a way of life. Talking can be a way of life. So what is Sanatana Dharma? There is the eternal law.
What is it?
What is eternal? If I can put it into simple words, how it is beyond the fluctuations of time, space, societal, whatever other kind of transformations that happen. There is something. So one of the best explanations that I had gotten, and this is not my own coinage, but I'll try to rephrase it in the best words I can. In our own experience, the way we were when we were, children and playing around with our friends, we were in schools, and that we have some memories there, we have our own experiences there. When we grew up and we were in, school or college, or grew up further, our memories and our outlook on life, our perception, our experiences, they were all different. And throughout, this keeps transforming, right? When we are slightly older, once people get married, they have children, their outlook on life is different. But for every individual, that sense of me experiencing the world, that is constant.
What is dharma then? How do you...
Dharyate ki dharma, language. Each person, I keep giving this definition. So there can be different kinds of dharma, like for example, you conduct yoga sessions. You as a guru, as a teacher for these people, as an acharya, yoga acharya, you have an acharya dharma. They have a shishya dharma. If somebody from there, you conducting a session, a shishya stands up and says, no, I'll start teaching now, then that is adharma in that context. Because that leads to friction, that leads to the flow of things breaking down. So dharma is that law that keeps the flow of things going.
And do you think most of the people that you come across in your everyday life are sticking to their dharma? And this is just out of the blue.
I am not. Why do I want to make that judgment on other people? I try to the best of my abilities.
Are there conflicts, Shreyas, when one
always
starts to pursue also dharma?
Absolutely, always. And the thing is, there are conflicts on the outside. The smoothness with which you navigate it depends on your skill. So I don't want to go into specific examples of where I'm breaking dharma. I don't want to give.
No, gifts. Go ahead.
But what I'm saying is that the whole thing of dharma sankata. There are these TV programs, I used to watch these as a child. People have dharma sankatas as to how many wicks should I use to, light a lamp. If I light it with three wicks, is it going to be, I am committing a sin? That is not a dharma sankata. But people have their own different understanding of what dharma is, what that dilemma is. Like I said, right? There is acharya dharma, there is shishya dharma. As a son, I have a putra dharma. So what does it mean? So if so people for their own careers stay away from their parents or leave their parents, or have to stay far away from them, that they cannot cater to their needs. Does that mean they are committing adharma? Or if there is between acharya dharma for you, and if you were to be a father and your child is sick somewhere else, whom do you cater to, your students or your sons? These kind of conflicts always arise, they constantly arise, and they have to be navigated. That is in way of the word. Swadharma, which is am I as a being moving towards liberation or more entanglement, is one's Swadharma. If you're moving, every step that you're taking is towards your liberation, you are in Swadharma.
So can we say Sanatana Dharma is that by pursuing which, whatever path you're pursuing, you reach close to what is eternal? Can that be said?
Sure.
Is it possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so where does Sanatana Dharma, why is Sanatana Dharma now connected to Kumbhamela? Would you like to highlight on it? What is Kumbhamela?
So it's just when understanding, all right, going by that same definition as Sanatana Dharma being a way of life, what kind of a way of life? That way of life where every act that you do, the way we sit, the way we speak to each other, the way we greet each other, the way we eat, the way we approach food, the cattle around us, the sun, moon, and grahas, every aspect of it being crafted towards mukti. This mukti and moksha is the one word. What is Sanatana Dharma? Dharma that leads you towards your mukti. Doesn't matter which path, you can think of it as.
Why are people going to Kumbhamela, Shreyas? Okay, why are you going to Kumbhamela?
Why am I going to Kumbamela? All right. See, majority of the people go there because everybody else. Because, see, mass hysteria is a powerful thing. Why am I going to take a dip there? Why do people throng in temples behind lines? Because somebody has told them that this will give you something, some benefit. They don't know what, but all right, something.
I had this FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah, maybe something is happening. People throw t-shirts for free. There was something happening, no? In Mysore, I think it happened day before yesterday. Some clothing outlet, they have free t-shirts. Scroll. So let's forget it. Sorry, no, I'll finish this. Really, yeah. I want to not leave it that, but bring Kumbhamela to it.
I want to know why you are like. Let's forget about
Sure. Why that is happening?
as a seeker.
Why that is happening as a ritual at that scale is because of an understanding of how the human body functions and how this is made. The Hatha Yoga, the sun and the moon coming together and forming this. Sun and moon might be the biggest influences on our planet that we live on, but every other graha, every other cosmic influence also exists, and they all are moving in cyclical patterns. It's because of those cycles, because of the moon cycles, that a feminine being is the way it is. Females are the way they are. Feminine body is the way it is. And because of sun's cycle, sun has its own physical cycles, all of this cosmic, everything that is material is going on in cycles. And there are larger and larger cycles of creation that are at play. Kumbhamela is one of those huge cycles that have a very direct impact on our physical being. So if we want to be in sync with our shortest cycles of the grahas, we worship the moon, we have rituals around the moon. If we want to go beyond these cycles and not have those repetitive patterns, compulsions in our life, we try to associate ourselves with the largest possible cycles. And one of the largest possible cycles is Guru's or the Jupiter's revolutions around the sun, which is 12 years.
What is this cycle? Is this the cycle that you're talking about?
Revolution. Yes.
So cycle here means revolution.
Yes. And it is not some. So whenever I talk about these things, most of this I've learned from Sadhguru and his explanation of things. But to understand these things, one needs to just open our minds to these aspects that are going on around us. The earth itself is going through a cycle of its behavior in a year. So it is cold and some parts for some time, then it is wet for some time, then it is warm for some time. So it's the same with us also. During those same periods, we go through some kind of emotional states for some time. We are jubilant, and sometimes we are slightly low during some other times. But instead of letting those factors affect us and be subject to their influence, the possibility of being born as a human being here is that we conduct life as per our will. and that supersedes all of these other influences only if that will is empowered enough and the other influences are reduced and are enough. This Kumbhamela is a process to reduce the influences of these compulsive cyclical forces that exert their influence upon us, so that our will and the way we want to conduct our life supersedes all of that, and we go where we want to go.
So if a sadhaka, coming from the sadhaka's perspective, a seeker, a true seeker, visiting Kumbhamela, so I think his perspective of wanting to visit Kumbhamela has to be mainly purification and to break this cycle of samsara, is what you're saying?
See, that is what is advertised, right? Paap dhul jayenge. Aap dhul jayenge, jaao Kumbh.
I mean, everyone takes dip in the holy river and they consider, okay, 100 years of 10 years, 10, 15 years of sin is washed away. And the moment they step out of the river, all the foul things comes out of it.
Yes.
Like, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah. But I mean, that is how our worship and divinity temple going is also approached like that, right? I'll do all kinds of crooked deeds in my life and give one golden crown to some deity. And
be honest with you, people go to temple, they take the arati, take prasadam, put the tilak, and they rub against the pillar, and then they come out.
I know.
What is the whole point of?
Yeah.
And I'm visiting temples.
It's disheartening, but I kind of am numb to those things now. No, littering, these basic things, that sense of shaucha, which is one of the most fundamental things of life. It's okay, man. Don't be so disheartened.
It really breaks my heart. Yeah, so beautiful, Shreya.
Yeah.
And I was in Europe, like it's a different level of. I mean, what is the whole purpose of us talking about Hinduism, Sanathana Dharma spirituality? If a person doesn't have a basic common sense, they shouldn't. They litter in the temples.
I know.
And they call themselves, oh, we have bhakti.
They do.
That is
the contradiction of the civilization. That's what they know. It took me some time to come to terms with it. My blood used to boil when people, I see a good car, not some. And then they eat something and roll down the window, throw it on the street. I used to overtake them, stop, and then give it back, and blood used to boil. But now it has come to us kind of. I've mellowed down, and I can't. But the thing is, it is filthy. I've seen with my eyes. I don't want to say this, but it's how it is. I know it changes, but Tiruvannamalai, you've been there.
I can Varanasi.
That Pragaran, people urinate around there. It's a public, open space. I mean, it's this on the stone wall of the temple. They cannot lift one of those walls for their life. They're tried for their whole lives, but they're happy desecrating it.
We're gonna see a lot of these people in Kumbhamela for sure.
There are. It's going on. No, the circus. I'm sorry again. I have to say this. After saying all of this, one reason why I'm going there is for the spectacle. Like, it's a mega.
Circus is the biggest caliber, I guess, right?
Correct. But for the spectacle and hoping that it affects me somewhere profoundly, because I had this experience with Kashi that it took some time for the vibe there to sink in. The honking, the honks are everywhere. Let me stay for some time in peace. There's no way.
But since you are visiting Shreyas Kumbhamela, do you have anything in mind that you are going there as a seeker?
Nothing. I thought I'll carry. I've seen some videos. I know that I have to carry light, so that because I heard there's a lot of walking. I wanted to take my parents and Sam also there, but I'm like I said, I'm very skeptical on how the experience would be. It's not necessary to go there to gain that spiritual benefit.
As a seeker, do you think a sadhaka will progress on the path of sadhana by visiting Kumbhamela? Yoga practitioners or a Paul practitioner? Does the holy dip make any sense?
Oh yeah.
Why? How? Why do we have to take dip?
Because solar system, that Surya is at a particular position and Guru is at a particular position, and they impact the waters there, and that is not just a water body but a sangam, a confluence of water.
So the water is energized by the alignment of the sun.
I know this sounds all very.
No, I believe in it. I'll be very honest.
I don't.
You don't?
I don't believe in it.
Okay.
I study. I'm in that book. It's nothing wrong to do it. It's otherwise, why bother? If it's not actually tangible. At least you have to feel it, experience it. You can sit here and experience it, of course, if it's all just make believe. But there is a phenomena happening there. I wish it could be measured. But the principles behind it, the theory behind it is very sound. And it's not just somebody saying. There are shlokas. There's this whole Jyotisha Shastra, which is terribly mistranslated and misunderstood. But all these texts of Sanskrit present these phenomena, and they also ascribe all of these grahas and their influences to different kinds of dialectical stories. That, Surya has 2 wives, Chaya and Sanya, and all of these he's running on a single-wheeled chariot drawn by 7 horses. Their names, they have those 7 horses have 7 names, and those 7 names also correspond to Vedic Chandas. It's all a very tight-packed, how do I want to put it? Science, for lack of a better word. It's a meticulously crafted insight that has been presented in very fantastical theory stories that, there was Sagara Manthana that was happening, so Amrita came out, a few drops fell in 4 places. From where? From the clouds? But these are stories, but there are principles behind it which are valid, which are powerful, that at this point of time, in this arrangement of the grahas, at that particular place, at that geography, the waters have that property, and we as a water body sitting here, 70% of our body being water, can imbibe that nature. I mean, this at least is very tangible in people's experiences, that hot water affects me differently, cold water affects me differently, different kinds, stream water affects me differently, lake water, sea water affects me differently. A confluence water affects me differently. To go there and to actually perceive it as a tangible, undisputed experience for oneself, the ambience needs to be better than how it is. But despite that being tangibly perceived, the effect still is. You might or might not imbibe the energies of the temple when you go sit there. You might just go there for the prasadam. But the deity there is powerful enough to exert its influence on me.
So you think people taking this holy dip over there in the name of getting rid of all the bad karmas that they did in life, to a certain extent they may be cleansed?
Yeah. Cleansed. Good for them. Hey, you have a problem with it, you know they should suffer.
At least they are taking this effort to go from different parts of India to Kumbamela.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one more thing. Do you think the people who are attending Kumbamela, even I'm going there, will be more in sync with our dharma and karma because we're visiting such a holy place at that point of time in a day, and you'll be there on the eve of Shivaratri also?
No, I don't want to make that kind of comparison. That are they more, is somebody who's not going less, or one, you could be more in sync with your dharma by just sitting in meditation and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Just absorb within yourself, just contemplating on the nature of yourself, not even thinking, just being in that. You are much more in touch with your dharma there than traveling somewhere, hurling abuses with somebody, just filling one more bunk bed there. You're lesser. But if you go there and people do annadanams, people do if you want to live your dharma, what you have to do is nothing. So anything that you do on top of it,
exactly,
it's lesser than doing nothing.
Yeah. You have no second.
This is hard to.
No, there's nothing. You'd ask beyond this. So you've given the last one.
Ramana Maharshi disciple. Summa Irasman.
There's nothing to discuss. Okay, now hopefully we're gonna have a great time in Kumbamela. I mean, even I'm coming there only for spectacle, but
yes,
after reading all those things. But since you told about the Samudra Manthana story in the Puranas and all, though I may not have been there when these things happen, I somehow strongly believe it is true.
When the Samudra Manthani mean, dude, nobody was there. Come on, it's a
mythological story.
Mythological I have some problems with, but yeah, it's a Puranic story. Right.
So all the Vedas and all these, especially in India, are a fan of Bharat. Sorry. All the celebrations and everything have their roots in one or the other way to the Puranas.
Right.
What is your take on the Puranas, Shreyas?
They are brilliant brilliant teaching devices. We might think, oh, we are all grown up, very intellectual beings, but compared to somebody who is, let's say, 10 times smarter to us, we are children in our understanding. We know this by experience that if you want to teach a principle to a child, you wouldn't teach the same thing you teach an adult. Any good teacher knows that. So if you want to teach something which is much more profound and very hard to grasp, instead of saying it in abstract terms, you present it as a story. That, oh, there was once a battle between Devatas and Asuras. Where were they fighting on the clouds? Where are these Devatas and Asuras? It's an abstract representation of what is going on, the human phenomena. Bhagavad Gita mentions this very clearly, that Daiva and Asura are different sampadas that we have within ourselves. That there is this constant clash that is happening between these two tendencies. What you empower, what you feed, what you let win over the other decides your nature. And that clash, and who is towards one's side, who is empowering the other party, what is coming out of all of these stories, what do they all stand for? Indra, who is the god of all gods, all the deities, and Indriya, which are the senses. It's not random that both of them share the same name. So who Indra is, what his weapon is. His weapon is, they say, lightning bolt, but it is a Merudanda. It is a sage's spine, literally. So where are your senses all rooted? Around your spine. It is the conduit of all our perception.
So Mount Meru is the
exactly, and Indra is the one who is. And any time you want to gain command over your own senses, whose seat is the first one which starts shaking? Who sends all those distractions your way? It's Indra. So these stories, all Puranic stories, are they false? They are not. They are true. Are they facts? They are not. They are fiction.
Fictional. So the actual meaning for someone who is completely new, if they say, okay, 4 drops of Amrita fell in different parts, the 4 different parts in India. So Samudra Mantana stands, the Mount Meru is our spine. So on one side Asura, another side Devas. That means the demonic qualities in us and the Daiva quality in us. So we are churning, we are being pulled in both directions since we are born as humans. So when something like this is happening, the elixir of life, what is called as Amrita, like, can we call this as Jiva?
Sure.
No? The Amrita comes out. What do we call? From our churning of good and the bad.
Okay,
what comes out?
Amrita need not necessarily be some abstract. It's not a metaphor here, but one can actually turn immortal. This we are crossing some boundaries of fantasy versus what is real.
How does Shiva, like, and he says, okay, Shiva drank this hala hala and then it was there in his throat. What do you have to say about that?
The abstract metaphorical interpretation is there are all these words that are in his stomach. He did not want them burning up. And what that means metaphorically as a principle is that whatever abuses or whatever is unpleasant that you want to speak, you hold it at your throat. You don't spew it out, and you don't let it
get into
your system also. So you just where to filter, and this Vishuddhi is also a filter. So that is one way of looking at it.
So the real reason we call him as Nilakanta is so for us to make sure our Kanta is pure enough, we don't spurt out things which hurts the other person. Can we take this as a literal meaning?
It is one of the interpretations. It's not the real.
What is the real one?
That is the thing. After all of this, is there one real? This is the only lesson you can draw as many lessons as you want from it. This is one of the lessons. This is like saying Dasharatha, the name Dasharatha. Dasharatha is not really one king, but Dasharatha is the 10 karmendriyas and 10 jnanendriyas. He's the one riding on it, and his son is the mind, and the Rama stands for the mind. The people who make these kind of interpretations, right? But is that wrong? No, it is not. But is that the real meaning? It is true, but it is not the real meaning. There was, of course, it is history, but how it was presented to us has many layers to it. This is something that we need to come to terms with, all of us in this civilization. Everything that has passed down to us, it's not unidimensional. It has multiple layers. It has multiple, like, this is a living experience for so many people I've met. Every time you read the Bhagavad Gita, it feels fresh depending on your life situation. So it is the same shloka, it is the same meaning, it's the same word by word meaning, same translations. Not same translations, 10 people translate it differently. But in different contexts, these same stories apply differently to you. So the same Shiva being a Nilakantha could, I don't want to go into way.
Oh, please.
So there are mystical aspects of life. The West has taken it and mutilated it into what do they call it, alchemy and whatever else.
I have like zero knowledge about the West, to be very honest.
It's a poor substitute for what the actual thing is, but there are more layers to this whole lore of the Devasura, and what that is within the human body. That is that kurma. This whole to continue the story, the churning which happened, the churning rod was of course Mount Meru. But Meru was sinking. To hold that weight up, gods prayed to Vishnu, and he came and he took the form of a Kachapa turtle and held that Meru up. And where was this all happening? In the Milky Ocean. And where? So at the base of the spine, what is the Milky Ocean that exists, and what is that stuff of life that you churn and get different siddhis out of? That I explicitly mentioned in some videos. You can call it your regenerative fluids. You can call it, and why brahmacharya important becomes, is
Now since Shivaratri is coming up, we consider Shiva as the guru. Even the Hatha Yoga, the first sloka opens up, Shri Adinataya Namostu Tasmai Kenopanitya Hatha Yoga Vidya. Like this it goes. It is this first sloka, Hatha Yoga Pradipika. Okay. And then I got to know the entire story of how the knowledge of yoga was passed on from Shiva to Parvati, and how a fish overheard this. And our Ishtadevata is also Shiva, which I never knew. You can see how everything is interlinked.
Any particular kshetra?
Nanjangud, myself.
Oh wow, okay.
Very close.
What is the name of the Shiva there?
Nilakanta. And there's so much up to Shivaratri. Shreyas, would you like to throw some light on that? What does it does for a individual consciousness, Jivatma? The Shiva is, and let's get started with this. What is Shivaratri? What does it mean for humans?
Shivaratri is the night when you can access Shiva. Shivaratri, so many stories, right? Shivaratri is the night of Shiva's wedding. It is then some story.
The Shiva and Shakti
getting united. No, even the procession of him marrying Uma happened on Shivaratri.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are the songs. Bholenath ki shaadi hum to na.
My Hindi knowledge is like zero.
The Shiva Purana stories. There is whole Linga Purana, Shiva Purana stories. Again, the story aspect of it is for us to unravel the mystical aspects of it layer by layer, because there are so many layers to this. So when I present any of these topics to my students, I always say, please always be aware that there are these minimum 3 layers of truth in it. One, which is the fantasy, the story aspect of it. All right, Shiva fainted after he stopped the hala at his throat, and then when he woke back again, there was rapturous celebrations, and they celebrated Shivaratri. Then they were waiting for him to wake up throughout the night, and he was, it was kind of in a slumber, and because he was sleeping, everybody else was awake, anxiously waiting for him to return. And that morning he woke up and there were celebrations. Or Shiva, as a procession along with his ganas, went to Parvati, and when he married her that night, there were celebrations happening. There's so many other stories that talk about the fantasy aspect of the story. There is also a cosmic layer scape to the same story, which is how it's always that Magha. Happens in that month of Magha, which they say there are these two in the yogic tradition, two most important festivals, which is the brightest full moon and the darkest no moon or Amavasya, Shivaratri. One night before Amavasya is Shivaratri. So moon being the Soma, he carrying the moon on top of his head, Soma Shekhara, is very symbolic. There is also a fantasy aspect of it, the cosmic aspect of it. The third one is the physiological aspect of it. So how is that darkest phase of in the celestial scape, how does that affect us here individually, physiologically? So always these three interpretations. So when you have to experience something, its presence, its fullest presence can be a very profound experience, but its darkest absence can be an even more profound experience. So Guru Purnima, which is the brightest full moon, where the grace is flowing fully, and there is exuberance, there is all that Soma, the moon, being representative of the mind, and everything that is all the 16 colors or the arts of the aspects being full, everything full-fledged, is one experience. But there being nothing, the pitch darkness is where something else can shine, something else comes forth.
What is it?
And that is what everybody is trying to up with. The word for it is Shiva. What is that nothingness in which everything springs forth and into which everything goes back? Shiva. So what is that which is untouched, unsmeared by anything else that is happening around us, going through ups and downs, emotions, thoughts, awake, asleep, something that is constant? Shiva. What is the nature? So there is this body, physical body, flesh. There is this thoughts, manomaya kosha, and there are these the intelligence within vijnanamaya. If we go on the breath that is powering all of that, pranamaya. If you go into the deepest layer of all of that, what is there within all of that? Shiva. That nature of bliss, that anandamaya kosha, Shiva. What is that? So there are the panchabhutas, the densest of elements that are there around us. There is bhumi, and there is subtler jala. There is even more subtler. There is agni. There is even subtler. There is vayu. And then there is just space, not as a physical entity, but the subtlest of creation that there is, just space that contains all of this. What is it? Chidakasha, Shiva. So the subtlest aspect of existence, subtlest, that can be perceived in an effortless way on that night. So when the culture, this brilliant, blessed culture that we are born into, this civilization, which crafted everything around in such a conscious way so that we move towards liberation, crafted yet another festival, put stories around it, so that you find that Shiva within yourself.
In Hatha Yoga, when I was reading, this was around 15 years ago or something, there's a very beautiful explanation in Hatha Yoga also. It says Shiva is here, Shakti is in the base of the spine, Pranaya happens over here. What do you have to say about it?
Yeah, that is a physiological.
Is that what happens in right night of Shivaratri also? It is the union of the Shakti and the Shiva in us, so that we get to know who we are.
Experience that has to be an experience. Yes.
Is this that true?
That is the intention behind the whole festival. Saundarya Lahari talks about this, the Shiva Shakti or Sangama. So the union of Shiva and Shakti that happens. There's so many other every festival in some way is geared towards that. I think one of the Navaratri is already started. I don't keep track very regularly, but or it's coming up on 31st, I think, January. There are 4 Navaratris. The Sharan Navaratri is in the Sharad Rutu. Everybody is aware of the...
that's the only one I know.
There are in the path, the feminine path. So this Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, what you're talking about, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, all of this is a very masculine path where you worship, where you approach the consciousness directly, that you don't want to do any sightseeing. But there is another path where you approach the feminine and you see what you see what myriad manifestations energy can take. Shakti can enthrall you beyond your senses. So what are those possibilities? This path called Shri Vidya. The temple that we went to, the Rajarajeshwari, Jnanash Rajarajeshwari, the Sri Yantra Meru, the worshipping her as goddess Rajarajeshwari, goddess Lalita Mahatripura Sundari, all of that is starting at a different starting point and seeing that, all right, there is energy. Of course, there is consciousness, which is constant and which is untouched by all of this. But there is also this something that is being touched. There is the senses, there are the five senses, the mind that is playing. There are ups and downs of life. There are different sensations of energy. There is hot and cold. There are all these dualities. What is their effect? So you start there and exploring all of that. That is the path of Shakti.
So all this is awakened on the night of Shivaratri?
No, that to awaken those, to explore those, there are Navaratris. Why have one night when you can have 99 nights?
Well, on the Shivaratri, you invoke the Shiva aspect of the Shiva.
Yes.
Shiva.
And that is an absolute absence of the moon. Navaratris always are structured in such a way that they start on a no moon and then they slowly cover the next slow progression of the waxing phase of the moon.
Shreyas, for someone who's like completely new, and we completed the quarter century and of 2025 now. Someone who's becoming aware of Shivaratri because of Kumbamela and everything.
Okay.
There are a lot of people, because of everything that's happening and the way it's being showed, if they are listening for the first time, they're hearing something called Shivaratri for the first time, and they understand, okay, what is Shiva? How do we come across them? And then how do we make
If
them?
I have to give a definition or explain Shiva and Shakti to people, I would stick to this. That in this creation that there is, where did this come from? Our religion, which is Sanathana Dharma, gave this answer to a child that Shiva, who is the emptiness of creation, is the father, and Shakti, which is everything that is matter and material in creation, is the mother. Shiva and Shakti are the emptiness and the existence of space. There cannot be existence without something to hold it, and the just emptiness with nothing in it is inert. So both of them are the masculine and feminine aspects playing within us as our consciousness and everything else that plays around it. All the body, mind, energy complex, and the consciousness that is a witness to all of this. That is Shiva and Shakti. 3 layers covered again. The story aspect of it, mother, father. Physiological aspect of it, consciousness, body, mind complex. And cosmic layer, which is emptiness of space and the material creation.
Why is it's celebrated during the night time, not during the daytime? Is there a reason?
Yeah.
So I guess Shivaratri is celebrated at night, so they can't stay up night.
So it's happening in the night because for you to access, it is the darkest, the most absolute absence of the moon. It's the darkest night. That when that darkness, pitch darkness outside, and that silence, like I said, you can perceive that light within. So that for that light to shine forth, you need that pitch darkness. And that's to facilitate that ambience cosmically, like in creation-wise, in that cosmological layer, that impact.
That's the only reason? Are any more reasons also?
I had something else in mind. I was going towards that. The story, the fantasy aspect of it is...
And the marriage will happen.
Yeah.
Mythology, story.
Muhurtas, most of the muhurtas, especially down south in the night time. That is the fantasy aspect of it. Cosmologically, of course, the darkest absence of the moon is...
And the way the sound of the flute wakes me up on the inside, I just feel like I'm floating.
Favorite artist or a track?
Me? None right now.
Rakesh Chaurasiya.
The first time I ever fell in love with music was when I heard Raghu Dikshit.
Oh.
I'm not a person who listens to songs. I mean, I think the first one was this. the first thing, the Pallavi, I guess, or the beginning of the song or something. Then that was first ever day in my life I actually heard one complete song.
Oh, really?
Now I do this.
Which one is it?
I can't remember the name. Musanje Matu. There was this Musanje Matu. It is there in my YouTube music channel. I heard it and I just sang down. And as soon as I heard that song, now I listen to a couple of songs which I don't even understand. Then I bumped into Western also, and then I said, nah, I can't connect to these people. Now I'm sticking to all the Indian. Because apart from Kannada, I really don't understand any language.
Tamil you must
at
have
all.
picked up a little. No, not.
I had like no friends who spoke anything other than Kannada at all. Ever in
Nandi Bharate Chennai Kannada. At least I can fake fluency.
Tamil, I understand bits and pieces. Like when I was in, I got Thiruvannamalai and all, basic language skills I have. I try to blurt out a word every now and then. But apart from that, like,
Saptingla.
that and all I understand. And I will now. So in this Kumbhamela that you're going, how many teachers are there, Shreyas, in this?
It's about 9 teachers, 9-10 Hatha Yoga teachers, Isha Hatha Yoga teacher.
Okay.
They have.
So you have your own tent also, I guess.
They have a whole tent city. That the challenge for them is to fill those with registrations.
Do they have spaces left?
Yeah, they have. I think they have charged it a little expensive. I don't know how it is. I don't know what facilities they are offering.
Just ask them if they have
Accommodation. Oh, they will.
Ask.
I can share that contact with you.
Because I'm staying with another friend in a tent.
How much is it costing you?
No, I have take my own guy. I sleep on the banks.
Yeah. That they are all there. Rayan Basera, they call it. You know how many ashrams and babas there are in North India. So they have all come and set up their own little tents, and it's free. You come, sleep. If you want to pay something, pay. Otherwise, you go. These kind of things. That's the same attitude with which I also want to eat.
I'm going there with just one jolge. You know jolge?
You can pack a little warm clothing.
I will.
Yeah, jolge is a bad.
Yeah, I keep all these things in his car. But when I'm traveling around, I don't carry anything apart from that.
Don't take cards. Not maybe one card you can take.
No, I keep some cash in the end of somewhere. Apart from that, nothing. Yeah, just let me know. And even I'm going there.
When are you going? Which date you said?
I leave on 21st
of Jan.
Feb.
21st Feb. Oh, that's last
leg off. I go to Delhi. From there, we drive Prayagraj. I think I'll be there on Saturday afternoon. And then I spend the entire... I come back. I stay there for 1 week.
Mahashivaratri and Mahashivaratri.
Last year, I had plans of going with him somehow.
Going?
No, on this day of Shivaratri, thought I'll go to some place where that somehow or other didn't happen. But now, everything is funny.
Go to Isha also sometime.
I will. I want to go with someone who knows. Because I have like apps, no?
During that time, it doesn't matter.
Not during Shivaratri. Because after I started to look up, I came across the Isha school also.
Yeah.
That is something what I have in mind.
Build a Gurukula.
Specifically for the studies of everything that is related to India. That is the next leg of...
That is Isha Samskriti.
Isha school is what?
Isha home school is IG syllabus.
I don't want that. So I have plans. I'll tell you about that.
No.
I honestly suffered and suffocated myself when I was going to this schools that are there in Bangalore. I never really connected at all. When I went to these schools, felt so lost.
How long were you suffering? Like what?
I think up until engineering itself.
Really? Oh, that's sad, man.
Middle school, I realized, no, this is definitely...
Why? What?
I couldn't connect at all, Shreyas.
With any subject? None?
Oh. I literally died on, inside for, people say, you're too small to realize.
Then how did you end up doing 2 masters, man?
This was yoga. The second one was, as I said, it was just my escape from India. I didn't study at all over there. I roamed around. I did some 2-3 backpacks with. First week, maximum second week is the only time I spoke English when I was in Berlin. After that, people on the top floor, down floor, in my floor, it's like filled with guys who are from Bangalore, Mysore.
Telugu people are also like
90% Shreyas, Bangalore, Mysore. Any foreign student you meet, they ask Bangalore, Mysore. 90% of them. We sit in the train, we sit in the bus, we're talking Kannada. Everyone is, all the grandmas will be staring at the game. What is happening in these guys? Like 6 of us, we don't care at all.
Yeah, I know. Telugu people are also like
It was very nice. All Indians, all Indians.
yeah, they form their own little communities.
Because it was very easy for us to, roam around and, do our thing. Let's see where it goes. When was the last time you went to Isha?
Oh, I was there last week for Sankranti Island.
Okay. There was some festival also?
They have this nice cow Matumanes.
They jump to fire and all?
No, they don't jump fire. They do the pongal. They cook pongal and they feed it to the cattle, and they have a whole range of breeds there.
You did that? You visited the Bangalore one or the?
No, the Coimbatore. Bangalore one, they did it in a much bigger way, I heard. This one much more crowded.
Because I saw this Gramotsava also.
Yeah.
Paper and everything. Now I have followed them, so I'll definitely
Now they have one in Chikkaballapur.
keep getting updates. So coming back to the last thing that I want to talk to you about. In the life of a sadhaka, they say 12 years as one mandala.
Right.
And even mine, see how everything coincides. Now it's like the 12th year that I'm reaching by June, starting something. Since I started teaching 14 years ago was when I was initiated. 14? 15, close to. So this is the 12th year, and now the Kumbamela is also happening.
Nice.
And then I see a lot of changes even without me knowing it. Shreyas, would you like to throw some light on what 12 years is all about when it comes to sadhana for a sadhaka?
Yeah, this is seen in multiple places. The ashramas that we were talking about, they're all 12 year durations.
4.
Yes. So brahmacharya for 12 years, and then play around for 12 years. There's balyavastha. Then brahmacharya until you are 24, and then grihastha until you are plus 12, 36. Then vanaprastha after, then 2 cycles like that. So anyway, the cycles are in 12. So, and this was something very tangible in my life as well, that if I look back at certain points of my life, even without keeping count of how many years, there were situations where it felt like, dude, I went through this kind of situation already in life. This seems familiar. Not exactly deja vu situations, but a similar situation in life, a similar kind of crossroads, a similar kind of situation that I'm facing. And later on, I came to learn and realize that life situations happen in cycles. The most common example of this is the Saturn's 7-year run that is commonly there in our lore, that Sade Sati, that if Shani catches hold of you, your life kind of takes a downturn, a bear run, if one were to call it that, every few years, and that will last for 7 years, 7 and odd years. But it is not necessarily a bad thing. Again, every cycle that you see, Sadhguru puts it as, you can either be, if there is this wheel of life, you can either be crumpled by it or you can ride on top of it. So if you want to be crushed by the wheel of life, it's your choice. If you want to ride on top of it, it's your choice. What you make out of it. So why these cycles happen, why situations manifest like that in those cycles, is again because all of physical creation, which is this life being a consequence of all this physical creation, is happening in these cycles. Because the very nature of the physical is cyclical. There is nothing from time which is cyclical to space, to material matter that all revolves around a center, a focus. Life happens, like birth, death is a cycle, then everything.
But why 12?
12 is because it's a number that is associated with the sun. So the moon has 28-day cycles and sun has 12-year cycles apparently.
What does that mean?
So I don't know the exact duration. If that's one revolution, we could look it up. But one rotation of the sun around its own axis, I don't know how many years it takes. Something to do with the sun loops around, like 24 hours is for us on this planet, which is very obvious. So every day there is some kind of a cycle happening within ourselves, in our own conscious of how we are feeling. Like you said, after daylights, your mind switches off. Daylights are off, the mind switches off. So something similar happens with our karmas also, that after a few years, those kind of patterns resurface. So 12 is associated with the sun. It's also associated with Guru Graha, that we saw that Guru takes 12 years for one complete revolution around the sun. So these kind of cycles exist, and depending on how long, there's again this whole science or study of how these different grahas and their orbits, how they impact you based on where you are born and the time you are born. They have this whole Janma Kundali that they draw, and this is where this graha was. This is how that graha was influencing you when you were born. So if they make one complete revolution around that and come back to that same spot, then your life situations, their influences are similar. If nothing else, if you're in some other place completely, the way you perceive life within yourself, your own perception is the same at that point. This going beyond the material, transcending the whole objective of the spiritual pursuit, is to make sure that possibilities and experiences that we see in life are always fresh and not repetitive, compulsive. And anything that is looping around again and again cyclically is also happening compulsively without our control over it.
Yeah.
The objective of us bringing that compulsiveness down, having their influences on us to a minimum, and our will superseding their influences, as we talked about before, is so that we experience life fresh.
So that takes 12 years is what you're saying?
Oh, in these cycles, moon has 28-day cycles and sun has 12-year cycles. So sadhana, any kind of sadhana to find its fruition, like one, they say, right, one avartanam, one mandala, that is 12 years is one mandala in itself. 48 days is one mandala. That 48 day mandala, I heard the body cells replenish themselves in some way. I have not studied this very deeply, but if you do something for 48 days, that kind of sinks in as physical memory, because over that period of time, body itself has gone through one whole cycle of itself. So this 12 years is associated with the sun and that kind of a mandala. So you do that, any practice for those many years, it kind of sinks in much deeper into your being. How long you do something for it to become your nature, come to you, become
12 years is very
samskara for you. And this carries on through generations also, is our understanding. It's not just for this life.
I think nothing can ever happen in the first couple of years, to be very honest.
Mandala exists, so if you want to do it for 48 days, you can do it. 3-day cycles also people do. So it's not like nothing can happen for 12 years. People have their own. I think you do something, you take up a new sadhana, do it for 3 days. So they say Dvitiya Vignam also exists. Have you heard of Dvitiya Vignam?
I don't even want to talk about.
So you start something, the second time doing it is the biggest hurdle, they say. You've done it the second time, that's it, you are now on.
And then they don't even turn up. That's the thing. A lot of students come like, and I don't want Dvitiya Vigna to happen, so I come 2 days back to back. Perfect. After that, they don't come back for years together. What is the point of Dvitiya Vigna? Is there a message that you're trying to share through whatever work you're doing? Is there anything inside you that you're trying to convey to the world which you'd like to share with viewers?
Yes.
What is it that really drives you? It's not that easy to churn out content and share everything in the same spirit every single day.
Is there a mission that I'm on?
Is there one?
If there is a message that I want to really put out there and rub people's faces and make it obvious for them, it is that the richness of Sanskrit is so tasty, it's so relishable. Despite all the plunder, whatever else the West has abducted and looted and taken away, deindustrialized this society, industrialized their own, despite all that, we still have such invaluable treasures. And one of those really, really tangible, with just a little effort, you can really see how subtle, how refined, how brilliant it is Sanskrit language. Please don't make your experience of academics ruin it for you. And I really want, if there is one message And if I have to put this goal in my life, that this is, before I die, this is what I want to achieve, is at least make, I don't have a number in my mind, but maybe 10 lakh people, for a big number, if possible more, relish Sanskrit. Just, not for exams, not because they will get this or that, not because of a prayer, but they see a Sanskrit verse and just see the richness of those sounds, see the sequence of those sounds, appreciate the rhythm, the melody, the phonetic essence of it. I can do that to as many people as I can. And
Do you have a vision for Bharat?
for Bharat, I am
The Karma Bhumi? Is there?
a vision of what I want to do for his.
See, whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
But always want to see, okay, where I can take my motherland in my journey.
Oh, in that sense.
Is there any?
Yeah, somebody had said, do not ask what your motherland has done for you, what your country has done for you, but what you do for your country. But I have not done anything for my country. It's only she who has been providing so much for me.
Is there a Ishtadevata Shreyas that you have?
For me, yes. Oh, she's here.
Would you like to share it? Yeah, I love.
I'm not wearing her on my neck now. It's Shakti in all her forms, but specifically this particular form.
What is it?
But it's called, this form of Shakti is Linga Bhairavi, and as the form that Sadhguru has created, a temple is in Coimbatore and some other centers across the country. A new temple is coming up in Chikkaballapura also, another Linga Bhairavi temple. But Shakti in general, I see Sanskrit and Shakti to be the same force.
So Linga Bhairavi is, I've not heard the name.
So it's a form which is in the form of a linga, which is very rare for a feminine form to be worshipped in. So there are very few feminine forms, very few forms of the goddess are worshipped as a linga. It's a much more raw, fierce manifestation.
So Linga Bhairavi has qualities of Shiva also, but it is worshipped in the female form.
No, linga doesn't necessarily mean Shiva always.
Okay.
Linga just literally means a form,
A form of a stone.
Not necessarily a stone also. There could be Saikata lingas, there could be Patika lingas.
Okay. A form.
A primordial form of how that form where there is transition from formlessness to a form.
Bhairavi stand for Bhagavati also?
Bhairavi, Rava, let's call from Bhairava or Bhairavi or both the words, the root sound is Rava, which means sound. Ravali is a jingling sound, is a very common girl name in Bharat. Ravali, what else? Ravana is the root sound is Rava, which means the one who roars or causes other people to cause cacophonic sounds is Ravana. The one who makes you scream is Ravana.
So Linga Bhairavi is awake.
Bhairava is somebody who is beyond sound.
Okay.
So the one who sound is physical. Everything that is sound, which is a vibration, is anything that is physical, manifest. It's all at the level of sound and vibration. Bhairava is that nature of that kind of a force which takes you beyond sound, which is itself in that phase where it is going from form, which is sound, to formless, which is beyond form or beyond sound. And Bhairavi is also in traditional texts, Bhairavi is one of the Dasha Mahavidyas. So Shakti is Shakti, right? It's energy. So you worship her as Parvati, Saraswati, Lakshmi, Durga, Kali, or any of the tantric forms like Chinnamasta or Chamunda, or a little more fierce forms like Pratyangira or any other forms. Or Ganesha has his own feminine equivalent called Vainayaki. You worship any of these forms, the understanding is it is the material aspect of creation that you are seeking and approaching and want to manifest. If you want to, all these three aspects again exist. If you are looking at her form, her story, her lore, it is the fantasy layer. If you're looking at her as the aspect of creation, it is energy that is manifest as material creation. if you look at it as your own physiological correlation, it is the energy that is empowering you from within, the life force that is within. And the masculine counterpart part of it is Shiva. So the feminine counterpart, so if you want, depending on what material aspect of creation you want to harness, you give that energy, that kind of a form, that kind of a name, that kind of a story, that kind of weapons in the hands. So if you want to approach wealth and well-being, if you want to, you go to Lakshmi. If you want success and power, you go to Durga or Parvati. And if you want to do studies and knowledge and intellect, you want to empower that, you go to Saraswati. And if you want to go beyond form, you want to transcend the material existence while still being well here, you approach Bhairavi.
Nice. So you have now made Linga Bhairavi your Ishtadevata. Is it something?
I mean, I could connect with her strongest. I mean, since then I've kind of it feels like she's there. Although I can feel her presence and her grace functioning in so many ways. But that aspect of me has unlocked devotion. The first time I could taste even what devotion means was with her. And once that kind of blossoms, you can see you can be devoted, you can apply that same devotion to every other aspect of your life.
Shruti, Smriti and Prasthanatraya. The first time I heard this, I had absolutely no clue what it was. What Shruti is, what Smriti is, what Prasthanatraya is. But the name itself sounded fascinating for me. This was like in 2010, I guess, and I heard about Shruti, Smriti and Prasthanatraya.
Yoga teachers, Prasthanatraya is a very popular. You don't study Prasthanatraya, yoga teachers?
Oh, is it? Okay.
It is, I mean, most of our texts, any of the Upanishads, even Ramayana, Mahabharata, all of these have that ethos of yoga, of that spiritual aspect of it. But then there are some texts which attack it directly, which approach, which, just talk about that aspect of life, the Adhyatma aspect. Hatha Yoga Pradipika talks about it some way, Gheranda Samhita, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, these talk about the practice of yoga, the different mudras, the kriyas and so on. And then there are the principles behind it, the basic fundamental theory of what it is, what the pursuit even is, why does one go on that pursuit. That the prasthana is a pursuit. Prasthan karta hai, is prasthanam, is to go on a journey, to not settle. Stha is stationary. Prasthana is from that stationary place, go in pursuit. Mahaprasthanam is the last pursuit. In the Mahaprasthanam is also...
Is this a text?
Which one?
No, what I did.
Oh, Prasthana is... I'm just talking about the word Prasthana.
Okay, I thought...
Prasthana, Trayi is 3 texts.
Okay.
Trayi is 3 texts.
I thought you were talking about text
No.
of Prasthanatraya, which is related to... I was like, what is
No. Prasthanatraya is not one text. There are Traya, 3.
Yeah.
It's 3 texts. But all 3 are united and they referred to as Prasthanatraya, not because they were all written by one person. Arguably they could be, but they're not in general understanding. They're all referred to by the same term, Prasthana. I'm just trying to present what Prasthana means. It's a pursuit.
I thought you were telling about some yoga text called Prasthana.
No. So, but what unites these 3 is that pursuit of the truth. What is the nature of reality around me? Even Patanjali Yoga Sutras talks about the same thing. If I have to, you see those principles everywhere. Ashtavakra Gita talks about the same thing. But these 3 texts clubbed together as Prasthanatraya are Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, all of them in one club, and Brahma Sutras. Because there they approach the theory of the governing principles of how you approach reality in a much more direct fashion. And to understand Shruti and Smriti, you can go from Prasthanatraya, because in these 3 texts, Bhagavad Gita comes from a Puranic kind of a background. That, there was this great battle that was happening. There were these 2 dynasties that were quarreling, and this was the story of the land. And in the middle of that battlefield, when Arjuna was unable to carry on with his life, then his guru, for that moment, his friend who turned his guru, set his perspective straight about the nature of reality around him. And that, because it came from a story in that format, it is called Smriti Prasthana. Smriti is that which is remembered. Smarana is Smaranam is remembering. And Smriti is that which is remembered as past.
What are the texts that come under Smriti?
Puranas come under Smritis, all Kavyas come under Smritis. Everything that is not Shruti, everything that is man-made, everything that is not a revelation, but a recording or creation, everything is Smriti, right? A revelation versus recording is Shruti versus Smriti. Anything that is a revelation where it is not because it happened like this, or it is not because somebody wanted to tell a story, but rather because somebody perceived something and revealed the nature of it, that is Shruti. That which is heard, that which is perceived. Like that, the texts that fall under Shruti are all the Vedas or any mantra that, or any kind of an outpouring, even if it can be an English word, sentence. It is not something that you heard somewhere, you remembered somewhere, or you crafted on your own, but something that got revealed to you as from your life experience, from your deepest nature of the self. That is a Shruti. Generally, all the Vedas, all the sections of the Vedas, Upanishads being the last sections of the Vedas, are Shrutis. The Brahma Sutras is also part of it. They call it Nyaya Prasthana just to give it another name.
There's a line also, I can't remember. Shruyate iti. Do you remember that?
Yes. So that Shruyate iti Shrutihi is a etymological definition for the word Shruti. That which is heard is Shruti.
So Rishis heard and saw these things.
Because he just saw that it is sound, all of creation. Rava is another way for it. There is another word for the same sound. Sanskrit, that's what, it's a beautiful language. The sound Varna, the root sound Varna, also refers to sound in a different context. And from that comes Vani, Venu, Veena, different kinds of sound. Also, if you dissolve that nature of sound, it becomes Nirvana. So, dissolving your material nature of being. Similarly, here, Rava, Bhairava. What is the other sound here? Shruti. From Shruti is that which is heard, because the nature of creation is all sound around us, and if it is perceived, it is heard, and that revelation, that which has been heard, when it is expressed, it becomes Shruti. And these texts, the Prasthanatrayi, they say if one is on a pursuit to understand the nature of reality and go beyond this sound, that these are the gateways on that pursuit. Interestingly enough, study of one of those was my prasthana towards adhyatmic aspects of life, Bhagavad Gita, without even intending.
Is that the first text you read?
The first text consciously to learn Sanskrit was that. I might have read some other stotras before. I don't remember consciously reading any other Sanskrit text before on my own volition.
The first that I ever read, first I even stumbled across was, I see how things fall into place. Kathopanishads. I came there, I sat, and he was a disciple of Chinmayananda Saraswati. This is Dayananda Saraswati, this Swamiji. And he started that day lecture on Kathopanishad. Everything Nachiketa stood for is what I had in my mind.
Really?
In just 1 month, I was like in peace. And the Kathopanishad, he was sharing the story of Nachiketa. I felt like, okay, he was sharing my story.
Nice.
Just one text. This was the first month. Like I was just initiated, and then I started, waking up early in the morning, doing seva in the Goshala, and then doing all the morning rituals, Sandhya, and then the yoga, and then the classes, and then the chanting and everything. Then I go and sit at 9 a.m. and this starts to happen. After that, a sense of calmness came in Shreyas. I was settled. They say a huge wave comes, and then there's like complete calmness after that. Then I felt like, okay, a new portal was opened up. Because when you get to know the story and the suffering that you are undergoing as being lived by another person, hundreds of years, this is why we read history. Unfortunately, that is not why it is being taught these days. Histories are taught because we don't repeat the same mistakes our ancestors did. And then I fell in love with the entire, 10 Upanishads. I know we have made a lot of sense. I mean, having that kind of a renunciation at that young age, just pure bhakti and pure devotion to his father's words. And this one word, he just leaves home and goes to the Yama's abode. A lot of things changed after that. Yeah, I hope all the Nachiketas in the entire world wake up.
Wonderful. I like that you're on a mission.
Yeah.
So just make up and spread.
Yeah,
The essence.
because you won't even know until you hear it. I never even realized these things until I heard it for the first time. But when I heard it for the first time, a new fire came in. This is what happens, right? There are things we don't know, we don't know.
That information needs to come to you at the right time when you're looking for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because it was all around us. You keep hearing it every day, but you need, the time needs to be ripe.
Yeah. I was right. And it happened. And yeah, thanks a lot, Shreyas, for coming in.
My pleasure. It was like so much, Harsha, for hosting me. This was one of I love the setup. I honestly do.
This is like the most chilled out conversation we had with respect to our first episode of Nanda Bharata series, where I'll be talking to everyone. This is a mission for me.
All the very best on that. Wish you all the success.
We share everything that is there with respect to Bharat, because I personally feel we need to get connected more to the land, more to the people, more to the culture, to stay grounded, and most importantly, to keep ourselves free here and sane here, and to invoke this kindle of spirit in each and every one that I come across, and to the people who come across me, is what I intend to do through this entire series. And it was very nice to have you.
Likewise. Thank you.
I hope the conversations brought in some sense of insight for me also, and I hope you like whatever we discussed. One last message you wish to share with anyone?
Like this, subscribe.
Always. Yeah, please do like, share, and subscribe. We're getting started.
Share this video. Yes, definitely. Sanskrit is extremely relishable.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which field of study, mathematics, agriculture, chemistry, or arts, physics. There are profound texts, very deep, and our poetry.
Yeah.
Pick something, anything of your choice, but get into Sanskrit. It will reward you like nothing.
I will definitely be talking to you about that also. We'll be working on a couple of things. Hopefully you guys can learn from Shreyas also. We'll definitely work on it. We'll start discussing on those things. It was very nice to have you over here in my Yogoshala. Thanks a lot, Shreyas. This was very insightful.
Namaskar.
Be for the next one. Thank you.